Hey guys, and welcome to the Bayern View. Hope you guys are all doing well. Obviously, as you can see, Fahad's in here. We're going to be talking about his match reaction, his fan cam, shall I say? Obviously we've got a brilliant win today, 2-0 in the end. Not necessarily a brilliant performance, but yeah. Without further ado, Fahad, the floor is yours, mate.
Thank you. I appreciate it. To talk on the match, for the first half, I feel like we were really toothless. We created a lot of chances, as we always do. This squad, every single match, create dozens of chances. I mean, right, there was a statistic that showed up with about 19 chances, was it, to their two chances, I think it was. The amount of chances we create is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Our playmakers are absolutely like on rhythm. They're definitely doing their jobs. But we definitely did see, unfortunately, a lot of our front men, our attacking players, who didn't manage to score a lot of the chances. However, in the second half, we did manage to score those chances. We scored two goals, one by Gnabry and the other one by Coman, thankfully, to start off the game. And honestly, I just feel relieved. The absolutely what we need right now to ensure stability within the club is a win in the league, to secure our position at first in the league with the Dortmund side that's absolutely fantastic. And this couldn't have turned out better, I think, except with a higher scoreline, of course. Bayern came away with a 2-0 win. We're top of the league, and we're on course to win the Bundesliga should we win our upcoming matches, which of course definitely is the least thing this club really can do in terms of how high we've set the bar for ourselves winning the league. Um, and to talk about the match more, like I said, we definitely created a lot of chances in the first half, but the second half is really where we managed to capitalize upon those chances, scoring two goals, as I said beforehand, Gnabry and Coman. Um, and honestly, I don't know what to say. I'm just absolutely glad that we did eventually win the match. I'm gonna be honest with you. For after the first half, I thought this was going to be like the previous games. I thought this was going to turn out like the Hoffenheim was its game, the match where we ended up tying 1-1 or 0-0, if I'm not mistaken. I was afraid there was going to be a game like that where Bayern would unfortunately tie to a team that it realistically shouldn't be tying to, a team which at the earliest start of the season we won matches against 7-0,
Yeah,
5-0. Like at the beginning of the season, the squad was absolutely fantastic. Although after what happened in the Champions League and the amount of matches we've been playing, I think especially with some of the injuries that have occurred, Choupo-Moting and um, Neuer, of course, affecting us after the international break. We ended up scoring less. However, we might still hopefully. I still, of course, believe in the squad to win the Bundesliga. And at the beginning of the season, I thought a treble was even possible. However, seeing the current situation, the absolute lowest bar we've set for ourselves was winning the Bundesliga. And I feel that now, thankfully, that's at least on course, that we can win the Bundesliga as we always do, as we have done for the past 10 years now, 11 years,
yeah,
and to ensure stability. Because absolutely, I think the number one thing this club needs right now, the absolute necessity, the absolute necessary thing this club needs right now in all positions, from the board of directors to the ownership of the club to the player based level, is stability. This club is usually known for our stability. We're known for being a no nonsense club, one of Europe's elites, who even when top notch players, even with superstar players want to leave, we have no issue with. Because Bayern Munich is more than just a number of players. We're a football team, we're a club.
yeah,
We don't rely on any players. And I think this match really showcased that, as it has done, as it has been showcased in many other matches, how really any player on the Bayern squad can score. I saw how the ligt and other defenders created and almost scored a lot of headers from corners. At the beginning of the second half, God knows how many corners there were. I think it was a statistic of 4 or 5 corners in 5 minutes. And unfortunately, we didn't score from those. However, later on in the game, we did manage to score. from our pressing ability, and also from our passing ability, might I say.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, and well, to talk on another situation, I feel like that, of course, needs to be talked upon, other than the match that's currently surrounding the club, is the situation Oliver Kahn. And I actually did mention this in one of my last fan cams, how Oliver Kahn has to come into question for his choices, and especially the board of directors' choices in terms of how they manage the club. And I don't know if I have any effect on the club, but that's exactly what happened, surprisingly enough. Uh, According to some articles I've read, although I'm not sure of their accuracy or their legitimacy,
Yeah.
the CEO of Bayern Munich, Oliver Kahn, is said to be sacked. Of course, for in any case, that's unfortunate. A high-ranking member of the club being sacked is never a good sign for any club, really. Any club of Europe's top elite, that's never a good sign, and especially for Bayern Munich. Um, and of course, a lot of criticism has followed the entire situation in terms of how unstable we were for the past couple of match days, for the past couple of weeks. The term FC Hollywood comes to mind in terms of how sometimes this club really can turn into this one huge movie drama. Sometimes I really do feel. And I don't know if it's because we've set the bar so high for our professionalism that anytime something unprofessional happens, we immediately criticize it or not. Um, but I definitely feel like that this win definitely ensures stability, definitely ensures that sense of professionalism will hopefully return to the club. And next season, hopefully, we will have more success in terms of silverware.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the squad, I would like to actually talk about the squad if that's fine with you.
Yeah.
The squad, the amount of transfers that were made this season, absolutely astounding. Sarah Hamidic, honestly, I applaud that man. I mean, it's not easy to get one of Europe's best left backs on loan from Man City, even if he was unhappy under his current manager. That's still a feat to pull off. Bayern, of course, have a history with successful loanees, with Perisic,
Yeah.
James Rodriguez, Philippe Coutinho, who scored 2 goals against his own club and helped us in the league and the Champions League, um, including a number of other loanees. However, unfortunately, I feel like Cancelo, to some people in the Bayern fan community, hasn't lived up to expectations. However, I feel that he should be given time. He's been put into a squad a with an already world class left back in Alphonso Davies and a very good right back in Benjamin Pavard, expected to immediately fit into that squad with players he's unfamiliar with under a new manager, especially during a manager change. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Cancelo came in before Nagelsmann was sacked.
Yes.
Am I mistaken in saying that? He came in before
No, no,
Nagelsmann was.
yeah, no, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, so coming into a club where immediately there's a managerial changes and still performing at the level he is no small feat. I would applaud the man. However, at the same time, it's the criticism that he's facing is due to how high he set the bar for himself as a world-class left back, really. Um, and of course, it's up to the board to decide if we should keep Cancelo or not, and up to the manager Tuchel if he feels like Cancelo is necessary in the squad. I would not go against the idea of keeping Hatsala within the squad. He's a world class left back, of course, who can also play right back. I'm really confused as to why we haven't been playing him at right back more. Because a lot of left backs and right backs both can play in the opposing positions. And to at least try him at right back would be warranted, I feel, to see if he can really fit into that position. And if he does, then great. We have a world class right back and left back.
Yeah.
Um, and that's all I have to say on the Cancelo situation and how been performing at the club. I still remember Cancelo's assist to Gnabry's goal versus PSG in the dying minutes of the game. How he sprinted across the field to give that majestic pass to Gnabry, and I feel like during that time, a lot of people praised him. But of course all it always is with fans of clubs. Whenever players drop down in terms of their form, even for a couple of match weeks or match days, to a lower level, criticism is warranted, of course.
Yeah.
And that's the testament, I feel, to how high Bayern players have set the standard for themselves. Even Cancelo, coming from a team like Man City, coming to Bayern, he's a player who has experience in two very good clubs. Of course, Man City is an extraordinary club.
Yeah.
So are Bayern, of course. And I feel like that's just a testament. I feel like a lot of Bayern fans are forgetting that we really, throughout this season, have showcased our talents and abilities. Although we haven't brought in the silverware and were infamously knocked out of the DFB Pokal, I feel like the squad has really shown how they can improve upon themselves and how next season we can really achieve silverware, where we can really aim for goals higher and higher than previous seasons. I feel like next season, really, if we were to continue with the squad and keep key players while at the same time shedding off some of the weight which the squad has in selling some certain players, which is of course warranted. You can't have a large bench like Chelsea have done.
Yeah.
Of course, issues come with too many players being at the club, especially when all of those players are at what seems to be at a European standard level, I feel, where they would be able to enter a majority of European clubs as starters. So that's honestly all I have to say on that issue. That I feel like some members of the squad need to be sold, as is, of course, expected with any squad that has brought in new transfers or new signings constantly throughout the season, especially with loanees. We were we to keep consistently, it would come a question where Noussair Mazraoui would play or where Benjamin Pavard would play. If he would play at centre back, he would have competition with Lucas Fernandez coming back from injury. A lot of questions come in as to where players would be put, where players would be positioned, and who would get starting roles. And it's not that Bayern Munich, of course, haven't dealt with this situation before. A lot of our previous squads have had world-class players sitting on the bench. But of course, you don't want to turn into what Chelsea have turned into, as an example of them signing in God knows how many players in a single transfer window, while having no real cause to sign any of them, without having any real purpose to sign any of them. And I don't want us to turn into that kind of metaphor where we sign a lot of players, although them being good, we don't really have a position for them in the squad. I think that really has to be managed. And should a new board of directors come in, I definitely feel that needs to be taken into consideration.
Most definitely, mate. 100%. Great points. Great points. One last question for you, mate. Man of the match?
Man of the match. Sorry, I've been constantly talking upon other issues of the club with the board of directors and our transfers. I haven't really talked that much, although it really is a fan of the match.
It's fine.
I would say, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Who would you say man of the match is there?
My man of the match. Honestly, both of our goal scorers could be taken into consideration of man of the match. Both of them played fairly well. However, I feel our man of the match could be warranted as Joshua Kimmich, really, because he put out an outstanding performance, as he always does. And he's cemented himself in that position, of course, as one of the world's best CDMs and one of the world's best number sixes. I feel, yes, Kimmich should be a man of the match.
There we go. Thank you for coming on again, Fahad. Again, great points. Don't worry about, you're talking about the club, and that's all that really matters, mate. So, again, thank you for coming on. And, yeah, man, we'll have you on again, as per usual. And, yeah, man, great points. But, yeah, with that said, guys, if you have enjoyed, please do smash the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down below. As always, we'll have Fahad on again. Great points. And, yeah, man, another fan cam done and dusted. If you guys have enjoyed, as always, like I said, smash the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, all of that good stuff. And until then, see you on the next one. Mia Samia. Peace out.